Welcome back to some more RWBY, for another World Remnant, basically. So it is Thanksgiving weekend. So the Roosterteeth family and animators and everybody are basically off doing their family stuff. So no actual video, no actual episode this week, sadly. Yeah, we get to learn about the Faunus though, so that's nice. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Here we go.
You know, most of us spend a lot of time talking about mankind versus Grimm, but technically, there is a third party in the mix.
The Faunus.
The Faunus.
Oh, so the
In case
third
you're
party.
not in the know. The Faunus
Well, I mean,
are
I knew that,
species
but
on Remnant that appear to be human in just about every way. Every way but one. Each Faunus has a single animalistic trait.
Yep.
Some more apparent than others.
Placed
Ram
ears.
horns, tiger claws, cat ears. I swear, on my huntsman's license, I once saw a guy regrow his severed lizard tail. I swear,
nice!
no amount of drinking can make you forget that pretty picture. As far as everyone's aware, Faunus have been around as long as mankind, if not a little longer. History gets a little fuzzy past a certain point, but we do know that their kind and ours are completely compatible from a biological standpoint.
Yep.
Take two wolf Faunus, and you get a little wolf cub kiddo. A wolf Faunus and a human also typically means your little bundle of joy's teething phase could get a little dicey. But if you take a wolf Faunus and a bull Faunus, for example,
Could go either way.
it's a complete roll of the dice.
Yep.
For all you know, you could be cleaning up your son's shedded snake skin. Scientists are still scratching their heads when it comes to, well, a lot about the Faunus. But science isn't the real problem. It's how we all get along. Or in this case, how we don't. Early man was scared to death of the Faunus. And honestly, it's not too hard to sympathize with that.
They were
Seeing
monsters
something that looks
in their
like
eyes.
you and acts like you walk out of the forest and reveal a pair of fangs can be a little upsetting.
Yep.
Like most things man doesn't understand, all sorts of rumors and stories surround the Faunus.
That's a cool
People
tale.
avoided them like the plague, pushing them out of settlements and sometimes even hunting them down. Man began to outnumber the Faunus, and the Faunus began to consider man nothing more than a hostile species. Can't really blame them. These clashes between species were unavoidable, as land that was safe from the Grimm was in constant short supply. But it was the Grimm that finally brought humans and Faunus together for the first time. A village in Sanus fell under attack, and the only reason anyone survived was because the humans and Faunus united against their common enemy. It was a step in the right direction, but it didn't fix everything. Once humanity learned they weren't so different from the Faunus,
Of course. Friggin' Egyptians, yeah.
To exploit and alienate them. The treatment of the Faunus differed around the world, and things wouldn't improve much for them until the Great War. Veil and Vacuo against Mantle and Mistral.
Interesting.
War unlike anyone had ever seen. And when it was over, the world was desperate to find compromises that would ensure they'd never see the likes of it again.
First time you got that information.
Were awarded equal rights as citizens of Remnant, and as an apology, they were given an entire continent of their own to do with as they pleased.
Yep.
There were some that saw this as fair and just, but many saw it for what it really was. A slap in the face from a nation of sore losers. And so Menagerie was born. There's still Faunus all over the world, though the fair treatment they were promised varies in quality from place to place. But Menagerie will always be their safe haven. Here's the thing, though.
Bunny
You can
girls.
only push and prod people so much before they reach a tipping point. And when you pack those people together, it just makes it all the easier for them to get organized and get even.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, there you have it. super, super interesting. So we finally find out that, what the war was up against. Because there have been rumors and, like, people theorizing about what the war could have been, kind of thing. A lot of people were saying it was a world war, like all 4 kingdoms kind of by themselves, like 1v1v1v1 kind of thing. 1v1v1, yeah. But now we know it was 2-sided. So we have Atlas and is it Mistral? I can't. My mind is like still like kind of blown. I can't. I think it's Mistral. And then Vacuo and Vale, of course. So yeah, it's really interesting. Like I said, this is the first time we've seen that information before. So it's kind of interesting how like these World of Remnants are actually like. I mean, they mentioned stuff about what the show briefly touched on. So, like, you know, they talked about, you know, the Faunus Island, and then a little bit about the Faunus here and there, but this actually, in full detail, talks about the Faunus and everything about that. But they talked about the war briefly, and then now we actually get, like, a full-fledged episode, not a full-fledged episode based on it, but a little bit more information about the war. It's super, super cool. But yeah, I do love all the different kind of Faunus. Let's see if I can get that picture back. Like this picture's awesome. That's really cool. Oops. I love the lizard tail story that Crow is talking about. Like, he can't forget it. No amount of drinking will make you forget it. It's really funny. Super, super cool. Yeah, I hope we get to see some really, really cool Faunus. I do really want to know how many different types there are, how they were kind of created. Is it just like man, how they were kind of born from dust and they just have like animalistic traits, and man just has, you know, normal traits kind of thing. But from what this was saying, like, even if you know, procreate with a Faunus, the baby's going to be a Faunus. So that's interesting. So like the Faunus have the dominant gene within that. I don't know how to. Yeah, within the relationship. But yeah, I did know about between two Faunus, 2 different Faunus, like a bunny or a lizard man, or girl. The Faunus can be different. It can flip-flop 50-50 on which Faunus it would be. So I did know that bit. But yeah, super cool episode. So next week for sure is chapter 5, and I cannot wait for that. So look forward to that next week, and I will see you then. Take care, everybody.